Hello, everybody. It is Saturday, August 30th, and I am Jessica for Justice, and I have not streamed in about 6 months. And yes, it has been a long time. I see you in the chat. Hello, case file code. I know I haven't been on in a long time. I've been very busy. Uh, we formed Texas Crime Victims United and have been working on stuff to make things better for crime victims in Texas. But of course, there's always something going on in Texas, especially with the criminal justice system, mostly in Harris County and Travis County. Um, they're both a hot mess. Both counties are not doing so good. Travis County, in particular, has been doing a lot wrong for a long time, but their district attorney has been in the news many times over the last years. He's been sued. They've tried to get him removed. He's missed many deadlines. There's been a lot of issues with his administration. So I do have a few people with me today that want to discuss what has been going on with DA Garza and his administration and what's been going on in Austin. And these guys have firsthand experience on what is going on. I do have a victim's family member, and then I have some people that are directly involved in what's going on in Austin. I have Chris Harris with me today, and I'm going to add him on the stage right now. Let's see. Here you are. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm going I'm going good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Not too bad. Just lost a lawsuit with the DA, but that's par for the course, I guess.
Yeah, I know that you have been trying to do FOIA requests and have been having some trouble with that in Travis County. That's something that I've also experienced in Harris County, where they say it doesn't exist or they just never get back and they're not following the proper guidelines. And a lot of people don't know how to do a FOIA request and they don't know their rights when it comes to a FOIA request. So, can you explain a little bit about what is it that you just went through and what happened with all that?
Yeah, I mean, a huge lesson that I learned from this lawsuit, if anything else, is that how you write your FOIA request can be huge. What words you use and how you use them and what precedes those words will be dissected in court if a DA like the one in Travis County really wants to withhold information, they can come back and say, we interpreted this request a different way. And in my experience, I could be wrong, but it appears that how you write your request, we're all laymen here, most of us, anyways. We're not lawyers, and they'll give a lawyer interpretation of your request. And some of these requests can be interpreted in multiple ways because they're written by everyday people. And you would think that a government body that wants to be open and transparent with what they're doing and what they're doing with taxpayer money would go, okay, we're a little confused, but this is what you're asking for. Okay, here you go. But instead, at least from what I've seen in Travis County, they will fight tooth and nail to interpret it their own way. And, I lost a lawsuit because of it.
Yeah, it's not like they want to make it any easier, right? They don't want us to have the information that we're asking for. Because there's stuff that I've asked with Harris County, and they try to tell me that it doesn't exist, and I've had many requests have to be sent to the attorney general and stuff like that. And from what I've heard from other people, that these are things that didn't used to happen. They didn't used to uh, move so many of them to the attorney general. They used to be more willing to give information. So, I don't know what they are trying to hide,
It
but
could be a game of Battleship. It really can. And when they ask for clarification, I don't know if you noticed this, they will lead you into a different direction. So it's like, hey, I'm looking for all reports from this and this date. They'll go, oh, that's too much. What do you think about just narrowing it down to offense reports from this department? And we don't know. Outside looking in, we don't know what's there. So it's very easy for them to ask a clarification request. So in case you don't know, when you do an open records request in Texas, they have 10 days to respond. And in that, they can ask for a clarification request if something seems unclear or is just too voluminous. They can ask for a clarification request. And in doing that, it gives them an opportunity, because we don't know what's there. They can say, hey, are you looking for this? And in doing that, they can steer you in another direction, away from what you're looking for. And the clarification request is binding in court. So if you go to court later and you're like, well, I was really trying to get X, but they steered you in the direction of Y, they could say, well, we asked them and they said, yeah, we're looking for this.
Yeah, it's like growing up, I never thought that I would be so mistrusting and feel so unsafe. Um, like I can't trust that if something happens to me that the crime is actually going to be prosecuted, that the charges are actually going to happen. And I feel that way in Travis County and I feel that way in Harris County. Both counties are not filing charges as much as they used to with their previous administrations. They're not being prosecuted. And Harris County is having some issues as well with charges being dropped at the last minute. I know families that have been going through the court system for years. Like these trials have been pending for years. Right before it's about to go to trial, suddenly they drop it because they don't think that they have enough evidence. And it's like, why did you take years to get to this point? And so what sparked this whole thing is something that just recently happened. So I'm going to play a quick video from one of the local stations. It's about 2 minutes long about what just happened. And then I'm going to bring in some of the other guests so we can talk about this and some of the other things that have been happening, just so I can catch some other people up that may not be aware of what is happening. Okay, what are you asking for, computer? Allow forever. Yes. Okay. I haven't streamed in so long. It's like asking for permission to do stuff that anyway. So yeah. So for people that aren't familiar with just what just happened, there is a murder suspect that will now never be able to be charged with a murder because of the mistake that the district attorney's office made. And this is a I think unexcusable mistake for a district attorney's office to make. But we'll play the video and then we'll get into the discussion about this.
This afternoon, the KView defenders found a man charged with a 2023 murder will never face trial in that case after 2 missteps by prosecutors.
Yeah, senior reporter Tony Plohetsky and our partners at the Austin American-Statesman have been examining the case of 26-year-old Decatur Ritchie after it unraveled just as his trial was starting. Ritchie is one of 2 men accused of the shooting death of Keith Bedford outside a Southeast Austin apartment complex. Investigators say the shooting was financially motivated.
But this week, just as opening statements were set to start on the second day of trial, Ritchie's defense attorney discovered that prosecutors had not turned over information about 2 witnesses in the case, including information that a key witness had intended to change her testimony that helped place Ritchie at the scene. The case was largely built around that statement. The district attorney's office had also deemed a second witness not credible, but didn't share that information with Richie's defense. Prosecutors then dropped the case against Richie, but because the jury had already been sworn in, a legal protection known as double jeopardy applied. So Richie will never face trial for the shooting.
Now, in a statement, Richie's attorney, Leslie Andrews Booker, wrote, quote, "I understand how things can fall through the cracks as the criminal justice system is an imperfect system. Having said that, I hope this district attorney's office will rise to its own call as a progressive office and fix some of these problems." The KV defenders and the statesmen have spent months examining missteps and missed deadlines by the office, which we found resulted in potentially violent offenders getting out of jail and others remaining in jail past the 90-day deadline to indict them.
A statement from the Travis County DA's office in Richie's case wrote, "A veteran prosecutor made the difficult decision that we could not prove the case against Richie beyond a reasonable doubt. We stand by his decision," end quote. The district attorney's office and DA Jose Garza did not answer questions about why the information wasn't given to Richie's attorney.
Of course not. Of course he didn't. Why would he answer the questions? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and, Austin Videos, I don't know your first name. I'm going to bring you on just so you're not shocked when, there you are. Okay, I've brought you on. You are muted, so just make sure to unmute yourself. There you go. All right, hello.
Hey, Jessica. Hey, Chris. Yeah.
So this is just one of the mistakes that Garza's office has made recently. To me, I'm just gonna warn y'all watching. I'm gonna curse because this is gonna really piss me off.
He was withholding information. Withholding information. Where have we heard this before?
He always withholds information.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can make this mistake as a district attorney. Sure, mistakes happen. The criminal justice system is an imperfect system. However, how the fuck do you miss the 90 days over and over? And how do you make such a huge mistake with something like this?
Yeah.
How do you make this? You couldn't have made that decision before the jury was sworn in, knowing that this would be double jeopardy, because even if they find a smoking gun later on down the line, that now this person can never be prosecuted. And to me, as a victim advocate, and having to be with families, the times that they are let down over and over, it enrages me. So I feel like it's our responsibility to make sure that to draw light to these problems so this doesn't happen again, because this is not the only pending case for this murder suspect. He has either an armed robbery or something along those lines, but I know he definitely has a pending rape charge, and I don't want the same thing to happen with that rape charge, because clearly this is a violent individual if you're going to have 3 pending cases. And hey, I know mistakes happen, but I've never accidentally been arrested 3 times and had 3 active court cases going at the same time.
I will say it's entirely possible that they were with, I don't know for sure, I'm speculating, but it's entirely possible that they were withholding that information because, I don't know, maybe they screwed up along the way and they were like, well, we're not going to say anything before they impaneled the jury.
Yeah, which is insane, which is insane. If you know that this mistake was made, then because I think from one of the other news clips that I saw that this was something that they discovered months prior. There's literally no reason that this should have been withheld for such a long time.
And then once it got found out, oh, yeah, sorry, we meant to tell you that, but oopsies.
And then 5 or 6 months ago, there was the 90-day deadline that wasn't met for the murder indictments. There's been 2 or 3 of those that have happened in the last year. I've only started paying attention to Travis County in literally the last year, since 2024, because Harris County's kept me very busy.
Well, Tony Pileski did a story on this. Whether you like him or don't like him, he did a story on this. I think it was in like the 200s number, actually.
Jesus.
If I'm correct on that, it's either I think it's a combination of the 90-day and the 180-day or something like that. And it also had to do with like some of these were people that were, probably should have been found guilty, but the charges were dropped. And other times these were people that they just languished in jail and they could have been innocent the entire time,
Yeah, because it's not just failing the justice system for victims. I mean, the system is designed the way that it is for a specific reason. We don't want, as a victim advocate, of course, I'm going to strongly support victims, but I also don't want the people's rights violated either. I want to make sure that when we are prosecuting people, that we are following the law and the rules, because I don't want something to happen later on down the line that could impact justice either, because we have to think about that. I can hate somebody for something that they did, but I still want their rights protected. And he just seems
we had people where there wasn't enough evidence to convict him for sure, but they stayed in jail past the 90-day deadline, and then they got there, and there's a couple of interviews that happened where it was like, we don't know how many people. This Jose Garza was being interviewed by Tony Pileski, and he's like, we don't know how many people are in jail right now that are past the 90-day deadline, but in essence, they said, we're working on it, or there is a system in place, or something to that effect. It's like,
yeah, I remember 6 months ago, one of the Democrat lawmakers came out and said some stuff about Garza, that she was upset with how things are going. Have any of the local Austin leaders or any of are they concerned? Are they speaking out? Are they on his side too?
I think publicly it's very hard for them to speak out because, for better or for worse, Jose Garza has the backing of some local campaigns. And I think maybe internally some of these officials are like, I don't know if this is such a great thing. But like, if you notice that Senator, was it Urquhart, or however you say her name? She, she said her one statement, but then we didn't hear back about it ever.
Yeah, that was, let's see, I have it up right here. That was February 20th was that statement that she made, and we haven't actually heard from her again. I'm going to play this video real quick because I don't remember what she said, but kind of want to reach out to her office and see what she has to say now with what's happening yet again. You were concerned then, you should be mega super concerned now. Is this it? No, that's not it. Sorry. I have too many videos open. Share screen, stop Sheen. Is it this one? Oh wait, no, it literally says Texas lawmaker in the title. Here we go. Yeah, because that makes no sense. She was so concerned, but nothing's happened since then. All right.
Senator issuing a highly unusual rebuke to a member of her own party, Travis County DA Jose Garza. Now, this is just part of a growing political and legal firestorm over the prosecution of violent felonies. Senior reporter Tony Pileski joins us in studio now. And Tony, what did State Senator Sarah Eckhart say today?
Quita's quite extraordinary. Senator Eckhart says she has grave concerns, those are her words, about Jose Garza's administration. This comes after the KVUE defenders identified at least 2 cases in recent weeks in which prosecutors missed key deadlines to bring indictments against 2 murder defendants. Those defendants then released on dramatically reduced bonds.
That is a problem of practice in the district attorney's office. And that is of grave public safety concern. And we should definitely take a critical look at what's happening in the district attorney's office.
Throughout this week, much of the attention has been on a case against 18-year-old Stephen Morrison. The case against Juan Antonio Ramirez has not received the same level of public attention, even though he got out of jail and had his bail cut to just $1 after it had been $1 million. Now, he remains free tonight as DA Garza tells us prosecutors are trying to figure out what to do next. Austin police worked for 18 months to charge Ramirez in an October 2022 shooting. An arrest affidavit says they linked him to the crime using eyewitnesses, security video, and forensic evidence. Prosecutors ultimately did indict him, but it was after that 90-day deadline. Under Texas law, a defendant is entitled to a bond reduction if they remain in jail without an indictment. We sat down with DA Garza on Wednesday, and I asked him about this case.
Although it was management challenges that led to the case not being indicted, we are evaluating whether it is appropriate for this defendant to remain out on bail, or whether there are public safety risks that would require our office to ask the court to reconsider under 1709.
So defense attorney Brian Erskine, he represents both of those men. He says the two cases are among several in which defendants have been freed on bond after prosecutors in Garza's office missed those key deadlines. Quita, we're going to continue to follow this story.
I know it is not over. Senior reporter Tony Plahetsky.
Yep, and absolutely nothing has happened. And she said we need to look into this, and nothing has happened. I'm going to go ahead and add Christina in so she can talk as well if she would like. All right, so there you are, Christina. I got you in.
Hey there, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. So we'll
Yeah,
just have to.
I actually tweeted at that lawmaker not too long ago, and she didn't reply. You know, asking her about Garza and, you know, if she was wanting to do something or talk about it or whatever, but she didn't reply.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to reach out to her office and see, because she made the statement and nothing has been done.
And also, that
then.
was the first and last time that she ever made a statement against Garza, to my knowledge. And if I remember correctly, there were so many instances back to back leading up to that, you know, both in the news and on social media, you know, being reported and amplified over, look, Garza dropped this deadline. Garza let this person out on bond.
Yeah. I think it's I could be wrong, but part of me thinks that, you know, I don't like to be partisan or anything, but I think it's a political establishment thing. It's like, you know, if you want to be a part of the political party here in Austin, kind of have to play the game. And yeah, I don't know why she didn't follow up after that, but part of me tells me that could be part of it, because Garza has good backing.
Yeah, and that is exactly the problem with district attorneys in politics. I hate that the district attorney's office is a political position for those reasons, because it's a crime shouldn't be partisan, but unfortunately it seems that it is. I mean, for me, like, I don't personally care if somebody's a Democrat or Republican and they're district attorney. I just want people prosecuted, and I just want people treated fairly, and I want victims treated fairly, and I want criminals locked up, and that's it. I don't think that's too much to ask for a district attorney, but it seems like it is.
Apparently it is, right?
It is too much to ask, because from the research that I've been doing about Garza, it seems that they're also not prosecuting as many cases as they used to. That they're not taking charges either.
Have you seen the flow chart that I posted on X? That is their charging guidelines. It's like a flow chart.
No, I have not seen that flow chart. I definitely would like to see that flowchart.
I should send it. What's the best way to send it to you here?
You can send it to me in the direct message, and I can pull it up
Does it send
on Twitter. You can just send it on Twitter, and I can pull it up there.
Okay, 1 second.
Let me see. Yeah, because I was pulling. Yeah, because I found some other stories too when I was looking through here, and it says like this story was from a few years ago that hundreds of criminal cases are not being prosecuted, and they were tossed out before ever seeing a judge. How long has Garza been in office? Because it looks like he just got reelected, correct?
Yeah, I think he got in office in 2021, and he got reelected. I think I don't remember the terms off the top of my head, but yeah, he got reelected, and I think reelection's coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah, and then there's because I see stories from the local news stations. Like this one says Travis County prosecutors reject hundreds of criminal cases. Another one asks, is Travis County DA dropping more felonies? And they were investigating that. So it looks like this is something that's definitely been ongoing. And I know like Christina's family, as from a victim's family side, their experience with Garza has not been positive at all. I know that they've been trying to communicate with him, and their office won't even talk to her or her
Yeah,
family.
it sounds like their victim, how they deal with victims is really bad. People are begging, from what it sounds like, people are begging them to prosecute some of the crimes they are a victim of, and it's just like, no, that we don't want to do that,
And yeah, like I'm okay with certain crimes being worked with, but when it comes to crimes where there's victims and there's some sort of impact to the victim, especially something physically violent or some sort of sexual assault, like that kind of stuff, I'm not willing to work with. But if it comes with theft or drugs and stuff like that, if you want to help people get into a program, but if it's their 30th time being arrested for stealing, that doesn't really work. Okay, so here is okay. So this flow chart, this is what Travis County uses.
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I can't
Let me pull
prove
this
it
up.
beyond a reasonable doubt, but from it was sent from Trudy Strasburger to basically everyone in the office in 2021, and basically says, "Hey, this is what we're doing." And yeah, I think their official policy is that they probably don't have a policy, but I think that
Let's see. Is the person charged with a state jail felony? Presumption release without conditions, $1 or PR bond. Okay.
state jail felony.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that there was a difference between state jail felony and other felonies until recently. Uh, I thought a felony was a felony, but I guess it's not when it comes to stuff like this. Flight risk, are they a danger? This is so is this for the magistrates, so they can make this if a person in custody on money bail for longer than 72 hours, there is a presumption that it is unaffordable bail. Interesting.
Well, my understanding is that this is guidance for the assistant district attorneys, and a judge will only give conditions like this if the state asks for it. And of course, the defense is going to ask for the best conditions. So if the state is asking for just a $1 bond on a felony, the defense lawyer is not going to say no. The defense lawyer is going to be like, absolutely yes, because it's good for his client.
Right. I'm not a perfect human. When I was younger, I definitely got in trouble. I've been arrested, and it's been, I was arrested like in 2006 or something. And my bond was higher than what I've seen for some of these violent. I got arrested for driving on a suspended license. In Florida, my license was suspended for not having insurance, and in the state of Florida, it's a ticketable offense. You're not supposed to go to jail, but I had a cop that was nice enough to give me that experience. So I got to experience jail for one time. But yeah, my bond was $5,000. And, I never wanted to deal with that again. I went through the whole process. I had a bondsman. I went to court. I got everything figured out, and I never got arrested ever again. And I never got in trouble ever again. So it's like seeing some of these charges and what they're giving people now is crazy. Like this, let's see. Capital murder. Did the facts of the underlying case support a capital murder charge? No. Present as a murder case? Shouldn't an attorney know this? You shouldn't need a flow chart to charge people.
Well, this gets into a broader thing of so if you don't already know this, there's this organization called the Run Collective. And they have worked with various district attorneys' office in trying to I'm paraphrasing here, they probably use different set of words, reform the criminal justice system or bring in restorative justice or something to that effect. Reform or abolish the penal system, something like that. And it's no secret that Garza, at least when he first started running for district attorney's or the district attorney's office, he got some big donations from big groups. And I think part of getting that money is you are going to implement these policies because this is what's best for restorative justice, whatever the word is for it.
Yeah, and isn't from what I've seen about Austin, it seems like the homeless population has gone up. It seems like there's more people that are on drugs in public, or am I mistaken in that, or do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely, they are everywhere. Like sometimes I can't even walk outside my front door without
Really?
seeing them. I can't go to any bus stop without seeing them. And I mean, a lot of them are nice. They're not gonna harass you or threaten you, but a growing percentage of the homeless population will it's me and Chris the other day saw one, twice that harassed us for money downtown. And it's like, the second time we told him no, he's like, I don't trust you guys. I don't trust you guys. Just running off in a storm. I mean, thankfully he didn't, threaten us or try to fight us or anything. But there's a lot of I find myself always wondering, what if this person is going to get in my face, because it's happened so many times.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's very common. Like you get on a bus, like I would not get on a bus unless I was armed, and it really sucks. It has to come down to that. Cause when I first came to Austin in 2015, it was, at least to me, maybe I'm wrong, it didn't seem like that. There was always weird stuff that happened on the bus, but not to the level that it is now, because the transient population in Austin, it's gotten bigger, and when they commit crimes, they don't get a lot of attention. They get a lot of rejected charges, a lot of in and out of the jail, and there's countless cases. At the owner of Royal Blue Grocery. I don't know if you guys have this in Houston, but there's Royal Blue Grocery. It's like a little boutique grocery stop here in Austin. They've been broken into, I think, over 20 times by the same person. And they won't prosecute him because I guess he has a mental health condition. And I get that, but at what point are other people's rights being impeded?
Well, it's not just that. What about What about the gentleman that keeps breaking in? Obviously, if there's something wrong with him and he's not able to make proper decisions to be in society, something's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
So, we let's turn our, because of course I care about my safety and other people's safety too, but frequently they only care about the person that's committing the crime. So, let's look at that person. This is somebody that has mental health issues. We're not doing them any favors by not prosecuting, by not putting them somewhere, because leaving
Yeah.
them out on the
If,
street is they're going to get hurt. Something's
yeah,
going to
rejecting the
happen.
charge doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Even with these possession of controlled substances where people are strung out on stuff, I'm not saying we need to throw them in the jail or, and throw away the key. Put them in treatment. But when you drop the charges, you don't even hang over the possibility of going to jail over their head in lieu so that they get treatment. You just reject the charges.
Right. Exactly. Get them the court order treatment, get them something, but the revolving door or the frequently dropping charges, like I couldn't imagine being a police officer in Austin, and especially in downtown where there is a higher homeless population. Or what's the area that has all the clubs? That's Fifth Street? Is that Fifth Street, Sixth Street?
Yeah, 6th Street.
Sixth
Yeah.
Street. It's been a long time since I've been over there, but when I went, there was a bunch of homeless people, so I'm sure there's more now.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I sent you a form that shows, hey, you got those charging guidelines, right? You acknowledge them? You going to follow them? Sign here.
That's crazy. Oh,
I
yeah.
sent it in the
Oh, interesting. Okay, let me share that because I showed the other stuff. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, bail charging sentencing guideline acknowledgement form.
If that doesn't make it any more clear.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and that's what that document's called. I'm sending it to you as screenshots, but if I send it as a PDF, you'll see how
Yeah.
bail charging sentencing guidelines.
Yeah, this is from April of 2021.
Yeah.
This is, it's, I don't know what is going on. Like the criminal justice system, like in the 90s, we had that crime spike in the 90s, and then the justice system is like, okay, we need to crack down on stuff, and we did. We needed to do that. Then we swung a little too far and we were a little too hard on stuff. So then activists come in and they're like, okay, we need to fix this. Okay, you're right, there are some issues. But now we have swung way too far on the other side, and we need to be in the middle. Two things can be right or wrong. We can
We've
do
lost the balance.
right. We completely lost the balance, and we need police officers. We have to have law enforcement. Are there bad police officers? Sure, they exist, but it doesn't mean we're going to get rid of all of them, because then everything would go into chaos. And like, we can't just not arrest people. I think that we need to have a system that is able to judge people on their record and not whether they have money or not. Why aren't we doing that? I don't understand.
Well, I think another thing is there's two sides to this coin. There's, a lot of people getting very favorable outcomes, too favorable, I would say, especially to offenders. And then there's a select group of blockbuster cases that they throw the kitchen sink at, like the Daniel Perry trial, like Christopher Taylor, like the Williamson County officers. They spent so much money on the prosecution of those cases, but nowhere near the amount of money for these other cases of everyday people, or everyday offenders, I guess you could say, right? And like, how is that a good thing? Like, I get it. DAs are elected. They're going to have to kind of make use of these high profile cases, right? But at some point, you have to ask yourself, how much is this helping the community? I've spoken to people off the record at the DA's office about this, and the amount of money that was just suddenly approved for flying in an expert from California, because they went expert shopping on the prosecution of somebody like Christopher Taylor, for example. I think it was. Was it Christopher Taylor? I'd have to look it up again. It was some officer. They flew in an expert from I think it was actually the Williamson County officers for some shooting that happened like 2019 or something. But it came into Garza's office, his tenure, because these cases take like 3 or 4 years to get through the courts. So so they spent so much money on trying to prosecute officers for these weren't like crazy egregious incidents of officer misconduct. They were perplexing cases. It was like, I don't know if he might have done something wrong, he might not have. It was one of those cases. They spent so much money on that because of the optics, but they didn't spend that much money on, like I said, everyday offenders. People that are doing crimes like breaking into people's stuff or things like that. It seems like if you do a property crime here in Austin, even if you do it in front of a cop, you're probably going to get out that day.
Yeah. And that's the really, I feel like it doesn't even have to be property crime. You could do something. I know in Harris County, even if you beat your wife, you could be out in less than 12 hours. So I wouldn't be surprised if Travis County is the same thing. Yeah, it's when I just went up to Austin to see a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while that was in town. And when we got there, my friend that came with me brought a backpack and then was going to leave it in the car. I'm like, could we not do that? I don't want to deal with that at all. And they were looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, I don't think you understand. We're not leaving anything in the car that's going to be tempting to anybody in Austin, because we were in the Dominion, like in a shopping area. No, we're not doing that. My friends, some of my friends think I'm paranoid, but it's like when you look at all the crime statistics, it's kind of hard not to be extra cautious, especially with stuff that you can prevent, like putting something in there because it doesn't matter if there's anything in the backpack that looks like something they could want it.
Yeah, I think that it's also a thing of like there's been a lot of break-ins in some of our touristy spots where like there's like 20 cars broken into like all in a row, and it's like we're dealing with the city's dealing with a tax deficit or revenue deficit because of taxes, and it's not going to help tourism if people start seeing, and we're starting to see more of it. People are talking online about, oh, I went to Austin not too long ago. Man, that place, wow, there's so many homeless now. Jeez.
Yeah, I've seen people online comparing it to San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's not going to help tourism.
No, it's definitely not. And like Houston's not like a big tourist destination that I'm aware of. I don't think anybody's like, I want to go to Houston for vacation, or there's anything specific. Maybe NASA. I feel like Houston's more of a, sometimes there's an event there that people might go to, but Austin, people will choose to go and travel to because Austin is this special thing in Texas. It's the capital. It's the music capital. Keep Austin weird, all that stuff. But when I go to Austin, I hate the highways so much.
Is it worse is it the same in Houston?
No, it's just the way that everything is built in Austin. It's just not as wide. Maybe I'm judging it from Houston because everything is so freaking wide in Houston, but I feel like you guys need more lanes. So many more lanes because going to the Capitol is not the easiest thing to do.
It's literally like an intersection. It's like a parking lot on 35, isn't it?
Right. Like, why are you making it so difficult for us to go to the Capitol and do stuff? But I mean, that's why I don't live in the city anymore. That's why I moved out of the same issues that Austin's having is the issues that Houston was having is they're short staffed on law enforcement. They're short staffed on 911 operators and stuff like that. Like when I would call the Houston police where I lived in a nice area. I lived off of Memorial. There's these mansions that are like $30 million and all that stuff. Like I live in a nice area, but because my uh, area of the patrol area of the cops that I had overlapped with Westheimer and bars, good luck getting a cop to respond because I would call 911 and I called 911 more times living in Houston than I did my 30 years in Florida. So I lived in Houston just a few years and I called 911 7 times. I called two overdoses. Uh, Most of them were domestic violence calls. Um, One time they didn't show up. Another time they took 4.5 hours. And one time I called 911 and I got put on hold. And the worst feeling in the world
Yeah.
is calling 911 and
911,
being
please hold.
right,
Yeah.
being put on hold. And Austin, it worries me for Austin because like I know that takeovers can be a problem too. The street takeovers with the cars and stuff like that. And when that happens, uh, 911 gets overwhelmed. And good luck, grandpa's having a heart attack. Good luck being able to get through to an ambulance to have somebody come. And that's happened before when there was a takeover. I have zero concept of time. So it could have been last year, it could have been a year ago. I saw it in the news. And recently there was talk of another takeover happening. I'm assuming that Garza is not prosecuting those that are doing the takeovers either.
Yeah, we had a case not too long ago where there was a guy who was trying to take over someplace in South Lamar, and which is like a kind of a nice, it can be a nice area depending on where you're at. The DPS did a very extensive investigation. I actually did an open records request on that case file. I'm going to wait until DPS gets back to me on that. But basically, from what one attorney has told me, it's like one of the most investigated cases well investigated cases they've seen. And Garza dropped the deadly conduct charge because he pled down it was like a felonious family violence charge, and it also had aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I could send it to you. It was a heck of a stack of charges here, and they pled down they actually didn't even, they completely ignored the assault with a deadly weapon charge. They took the felony. It was like a felony, family violence, prior convictions, impeding breath, something like that. It's kind of a long name, and they took that down to something else that I think was a misdemeanor. I'd have to look again, but it was. And then because they did that, when his little street takeover, the deadly conduct charge he got from that, they just dropped that. So like, oh, in this other case, we did this other stuff.
So I guess
you-
just fuck the
You know-
victim.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
what
Christina.
I was going to say. With every drop charge, with every every misstep by Garza, there's a victim on the other side. And when I first started dealing with his office, I thought, after a while, I thought, okay, these people don't care about victims. But then, and I thought, well, that's it, but then come to find out, no, he's highly incompetent. You know what I mean? He's, with all these articles that are coming out, like all the stuff that y'all mentioned before, he's not only just, uncaring towards victims and their families. I mean, he's incompetent to the max. I keep waiting for something big to drop, and I think it might.
It could, but it's like what recourse do we as citizens have seeing all these mistakes over and over and over? What happens? Is there no recourse for the district attorney? When I posted what was happening, somebody said sue. I'm like, sue? I can't sue. I first of all, I'm poor. I can't afford to sue anybody. And two, you can't sue the district attorney for that. Um, so what recourse do we even have? Do we just contact our legislation or do we contact the attorney general? Like what do we do? Who can we go to help with this?
Well, it depends on what the problem is, what specifically the DA is doing, and what that would dictate
Yeah, well,
what.
he routinely ignores victims' families. Families of murder victims. They get an email saying, "Hey, we made a plea deal." Notifying them after the fact, things like that, and there's nothing we can do with all the
Yeah,
things, all the lies and everything I went through with their office. I mean, what can I do, really? Other
because
than keep speaking out about it.
there is there is the victim's bill of rights and all that, but who's upholding that? Who's going to hold them accountable for not following the victim's bill of rights? Who holds the district attorney accountable for not meeting the deadlines consistently? Because the district attorney is supposed to hold the prosecutors accountable. So
And my understanding of how it works right now is, maybe there should be other laws that helps with this, but in the current setup, if you will, the only person he's really held accountable to is the voters.
right.
And that, I guess that's why public information requests or FOIAs are such a thing for me, is because I just want to know what is actually happening. Because as Christina said, they can say whatever. They'll get on a podium and they will say just about anything, it seems like.
Mhm.
And then we come to find out that was said at a podium. It was either a half truth taken out of context or just completely not true. And, as long as that's going on and the people cannot see what is actually going on in that office, the public is none the wiser.
Yes, and that's definitely part of the problem when it comes to elections, especially local elections. People tend to pay more attention to, the presidential elections and things like that. And of course, voting for the president is important, but what is going to impact your life the most directly is going to be local elections. And I don't believe in blindly voting for party. I believe in getting to know who my local elected official is going to be. So, I would go around to the different events and meet the different candidates in Harris County and learn about them. And all we can do right now is draw attention to these issues and make sure that people are watching what is happening in Garza's office and making sure that he's following through, um, and making sure that the voters have all the information, because too many people that vote don't even have, especially when it comes to judges too, like people have no idea what judges voting records, what their records are in court, if they, yeah, because I mean we have that issue in Harris County where people that have been a problem keep getting reelected judges, and it's like, why would you vote for that
I
person.
don't know if it's the same thing in Harris County, but when I looked at the selection of judges on the sample ballot, there was one choice.
Some of the courts, yeah, some of the courts there wasn't really a whole lot of options. Others there were. It's just people voted with their feelings with some stuff rather than investigating, because we lost one judge that was moving faster than any of the older judges, and she was placed by the governor in an extra court, and she was doing fantastic. If you looked at the statistics, she was doing great, better than some of the other older sitting judges, but she didn't get reelected because of the letter that's on her party name, which is really unfortunate because she was a really good and a fair judge, a good and fair judge. And that's judges should be, compassionate when they should need to be and hard when they need to be too. And that's exactly what she was. And yeah, it's really, really unfortunate when it comes to that. I don't know. I feel like there has to be somebody to complain to. I guess not. Like, is there a manager that I can talk to of the district attorneys? No.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of judges, one of Garza's people, Holly Taylor, is running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. She
I
works
saw
with
that.
she works with the Conviction Integrity Unit, which has
I,
no integrity because I've dealt with them.
I think I saw her name on that form. Was that her
Yeah,
Yeah.
name on that form?
she's running in November 2026, and my mission is her defeat.
Okay, well, we'll definitely look into all that. And this November, speaking of local elections, in November we have more stuff to vote on, which are going to be constitutional amendments. Uh, and something that we'll care about, Prop 3. Prop 3 will give judges the discretion to be able to deny bond in certain violent charges where there is clear and convincing evidence when it comes to murder charges, sexual assault, sex trafficking, things like that. If that passes, then judges would have the ability to deny bond, because right now they can only deny bond in capital murder. So I will be talking a lot about that the next few
It
months.
just kind of blows my mind that didn't you guys get like the McDonald decree or something like that? I heard about it. We're in Travis County, so we're not
Yeah.
up to speed on the shenanigans and PR bonds over there in Harris County.
Yes, the O'Donnell decree. So everybody that got a misdemeanor was getting PR bonds because of that decree, like everybody. But we had to change the law to where they couldn't give PR bonds for violent crime, because people that were getting domestic violent charges were getting PR bonds. Does that make any sense? That's not what PR bonds are for. PR bonds are for, I stole something I shouldn't have stolen from Walmart, not I just beat my wife. And one of the reasons we were able to get that passed to where they can't do that anymore is because somebody who beat his pregnant wife went to jail and then came home and murdered her and stabbed her a bunch of times and killed her and her unborn child. And even after we got that law passed, some judges to me, working a way around that and giving a violent offender that kidnapped his victim and kept her for days, they gave him a $1 bond because they couldn't give him a PR bond. $1.
Wow.
$1. So yeah, it doesn't, it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around those kinds of decisions, because to me
Yeah,
it's spitting in the face of victims.
I don't think it's, at least in Travis County. I can't speak for Harris County, but in Travis County, I think the majority of the judges are reasonable. Even though I just lost a lawsuit to DA Jose Garza, I will say that the judge in my case, I'm not going to throw her under the bus. That's not the manly thing to do. Like, that's something Garza would do. Garza throws people under the bus, including judges, Remember that one case when, what was it? It was one of the murder cases you talked about, or where you showed a video on it, and they were like, "Oh well, the Jose Garza came out and said, well, the judge had the power to keep the community safe, blah, 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 blah." It was like, no, Jose Garza, it is your responsibility to bring an indictment within 90 days. That is not the judge's responsibility.
Correct.
So
I don't think that he really understands how the system works, and we're having the same issue in Harris County, and I don't know. Dude, I don't know. I don't understand it at all, because me and one of the communications people from Harris County keep going back and forth on Twitter as well, and it's like I feel like they don't understand how bond works, because he keeps posting about the bonding company that bonded out people, and it's like, okay, that's what bonding companies do. If you're upset that this violent person got bond, has nothing to do with the bond company. Maybe in the one that he just posted, the district attorney's office only asked for 500,000 and the judge asked for $1 million. So who should we be upset at? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, he's
yeah, I mean, when you have a prosecution's office that's only gonna, like, it's basically saying, hey, we only want to go for $1 for this bond. The defense attorney's not going to ask for more. That's not their job.
right. And like, for some reason, so they're very supportive of the O'Donnell decree in Harris County, like especially the current district attorney. That's what they want. They have a lot of programs for criminals and like expunging their records and all that stuff. They don't have stuff for victims and like how to file for victims compensation or anything like that. But their communications person, Raphael, keeps posting about these bonding companies. And it's like, yeah, I'm pissed that this woman that injured a child got bond, but the judge gave her a $1 million bond. The district attorney's office only asked for 500,000. Sir, I don't understand what you think the problem is. Like, it's yeah, and this guy probably makes way more money than I do posting crap like that, and and it's just like,
I think some of it's blame shifting. I think it's easy, or at least in Travis County, for the DA to blame it and things on the judges when it's not the judge's fault. The judge, if like I said, if the state is saying I only want $1 for the bond, the defense, of course, they're not going to ask for more. Their job is to do the best for their client. Judge goes, well, nobody's asking for anything more than $1. What am I supposed to do? Unless state law says they have to, which isn't that something that I don't know. I imagine that's something that changed recently, but that's one of those things. And then they come back and say, well, it was the judge's fault. Well, the judge is supposed to just be the referee in the courtroom, honestly, and not all the time, but generally,
Well, I'm glad that you guys don't have the problem with judges in Harris County, but you have Garza. So that doesn't do anybody any favors. But
the judges don't prosecute crimes. That's the job of the prosecutor.
Right. The judges, because for us, the problem is that the judges are just giving these ridiculous bonds, and the amount of bonds that they're giving, and they follow the O'Donnell decree, which is supposed to only be for misdemeanors and nonviolent crime, but some of the logic gets applied in felony court. And then when we speak up about it, we're told, but it doesn't exist for felony court. And we're like, we understand that, but it's being applied there. So they're very gaslighty to us when we speak out about it. And looking at Garza in his interviews, it's very gaslighty, like, no, it's not me. The judge could have done that. So
We
I
do
think
have a lot of problems with magistrate judges in
Mhm.
Travis County. Like, for example, there was a guy, homeless guy, he was chasing a couple over by Far West with an axe or a machete or something. And a magistrate judge told APD that they can't even arrest because there's not probable cause to it. Like the threats, like he was saying, I'm going to kill you, but he wasn't saying how he was going to kill them. So it wasn't specific enough.
but he had an axe.
Yeah, but it still wasn't specific enough. So
I
no
guess
arrest, no mental health treatment, nothing. And he's allowed to just keep doing it. So
Like,
there's a
that's not,
lot of
it's
that.
not funny, but
It's not, but it's,
but
I
it's,
guess that if you don't implicitly state that you're going to kill someone with an axe in your hand, then I guess I don't
well,
know.
it's like, so when my moped was stolen, they had footage of the business where it was stolen from, and then they had hours worth of footage of the guy put in a screwdriver in the ignition, hot wiring it, doing all kinds of, work on it. They even have him spiking the gas once and he realized that he couldn't get the wheel lock off. So he's like, oh, well, if I can't have it, he can't have it either. Thankfully, I was able to do a lot of repairs on it when I got it back. But the magistrate judge told there were like 7 8 APD officers there, and there was a detective ready to sign an arrest warrant. And the magistrate judge told the detective, well, I'm not authorizing this arrest. There's not sufficient probable cause. So,
like,
what do you do?
that stuff makes me so mad, because it's like people like you and I, it's almost like, why am I following the law? If I did something wrong, it's not like they're going to do anything to
And then
me.
also, so like I had my vehicle stolen, so of course I'm back on the buses a lot because of it. So I get off the bus about almost 2 months ago, beginning of July. I get off the bus at Republic Square Park, and this homeless girl gets up in my face saying she's going to kill me, just screaming and yelling bloody murder at me. She's like, get the fuck out of my face, get the fuck. She's like, hit me bitch, just going off on me. And I'm like trying to walk around her. I'm trying to walk the other way. She comes around, gets on me on the other side of me. And I was like, eventually I just raised my voice. I said, get the fuck out of my face, as loud as I could. And she instigated a homeless guy to come, sucker punch me and stomp my head down 10 times in the street. And another homeless guy was like, hey, get off of him. He's already knocked out, which I wasn't knocked out. I was just pretending to be because I wanted these people off of me. I'm afraid to fight back anymore because I've faced too much controversy for fighting back. Even for pepper spraying somebody who had a knife, I've had a bunch of college students scream at me and say, hey, man, why are you harassing the homeless? Whatever.
Yeah, because it's, God forbid you defend yourself when somebody else is coming at you. And that's part of the problem too, is that there can be two different groups of people looking at the exact same interaction and have a very different opinion on what should be happening. If I see another person attacking another if I see somebody attacking somebody, whether they're homeless or in their mental capacity or not, the person being attacked has every right to defend themselves. Do I feel bad for the person that is homeless and has mental health issues? Absolutely. However, the other person has the right to defend their space and their freedom too. And I think that's where there's a disconnect for some reason with, I don't know if it's the younger generation or if it's just different groups of thinking or what. Like, we're not allowed to react or defend ourselves if it is somebody that is homeless or has some sort of mental uh, health issues going on. And like, what is the solution for that? They can't just be running around the street attacking people, because clearly that young woman that is doing that to you is not in her right state of mind, because no mentally sound person does that, or they're on drugs, or both.
I think it goes back to it's like a political thing for the office. It's like it looks good to do reform on people that have drug problems and stuff like that. And if someone defends himself and they seem to fall into a category of people that isn't liked in that community, like uh, whether you like it or not, like MAGA supporters, like that is a dislike group community of people in Austin at least. And if that person acted in self-defense, I could I don't want to say I can guarantee you. I feel like it's far more likely that if it comes out that there is some quote unquote MAGA supporter, they're probably going to be looking at a stiffer prosecution if they defended themselves, which is
You're
unfortunate.
probably right. You're probably correct. And I really hate I I hate how politically divided we've become as a country and how angry people have become that we can't have conversations with people from different,
Yeah,
different political views and stuff like that. Um,
it really sucks when it infects our trial courts, in my opinion,
yes, yes,
and
politics has
and
no.
the decisions by the district attorney,
Yes,
whether to
I
prosecute a case or not.
I hate that politics has anything to do with district attorneys. I yeah, it's so stupid. I don't think the justice system should have anything to do with politics. It needs to be completely impartial. And unfortunately, what we're seeing now in district attorney's office in Travis County, in Harris County, and I know it's happening in other areas of the country where we're not prosecuting, we're not doing what needs to be done to protect our cities, and they're saying crime is down, but I don't I don't believe that. I know
Well, it
in
depends
Harris,
on how you measure crime,
right? It depends how you measure it. In Harris County, we just had what, like 260,000 reports of crime that weren't filed or investigated. So how can
That's
you?
insane to
Yeah,
me.
how can you? And one of them was a murder. One of them was a murder, for Christ's sakes.
It'd
Like
be
how?
one thing if it's just not getting reported, but there's all these reports, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, we lost it. Oops."
Yes, and thousands were sexual assaults. So you can't tell me that crime is down when you just had 250,000 reports that you're like, oops, filed this away. And then it comes out with what happened in Washington and DC, that the police chief there was fudging numbers to make it look like crime went down. So don't tell me that statistically crime is down when that is not what I am seeing, and that is certainly not what people are feeling. And then, I get told that I'm fear mongering. I'm like, I'm not. I'm not fear mongering.
There is no doubt that chiefs of police and city officials have an incentive to make their city look more safe than it really is. And to a point, there's nothing wrong with trying to present your city in a good way. But when you start messing with documents and more or less lying to people about what the numbers are, I feel like that's when you get into that's not fear mongering. That's just lying to people.
Hmm.
That is taking the stats that people should be able to get themselves and say, nope, you can't have it, or manipulating them, and that it's dishonest.
It is. And when they released, like Houston had released some statistics, and like the way that they did the numbers, it made it look like it was this big drastic change with certain things. And they're like, oh, look, violent crime is down. And when I looked at the numbers, like actual assaults were down, but like more people were killed. And I'm like, Like, I'm glad that there's technically less crime, but more people died. So I think that that's a bigger problem, you know. And kidnapping was up like 400%, and they weren't mentioning kidnapping at all. And I'm like, why aren't we talking about kidnapping? I feel like if it's up 400%, we should be like, hey, uh, women, children, people who can get kidnapped. Let's talk about this. Let's raise awareness. Not a peep from city officials about kidnapping when statistically it was up 400%. And
And I imagine getting those stats was it going to be easy, or they're going to play games with you trying to get those stats, or I don't know. Maybe you got them very easily. Did we get those stats very easily?
Houston was behind by like 6 or 8 weeks with their statistics. They would release them publicly, but we've had a lot of issues with our statistics too. And there's a couple local Harris County activists that are very on top of the numbers. I know that Michelle. Michelle is she gets everything. She knows everything. If if it exists, Michelle will find it. And uh, and then
Yeah.
there's also Bob, um, who's very involved in local politics. I get a lot of stuff from him too. If I can't find it, I check in with them. But when I've definitely had my own issues getting information. Yeah.
And I think that's why my lawsuit thing was so frustrating, because this was about a murder investigation, and I asked for records. They overcharged me, and then they took it to court to try and withhold it, and eventually they won, and they non-suited their own claim. It was a mess, and it's like the amount of effort going into trying to keep people from getting information on what is going on in their government is.
I still don't understand how that judge came to that conclusion. Like, how is that justified to withhold? You clearly requested 1 through 6, and she gave you 1 through 5. Or Garza's office gave you 1 through 5. How? I mean, who was counseling that judge? Who did she go and consult with to come up with that determination?
I wish I had an answer.
Well, so are they on the same payrolls as Garza? I mean, what's?
Well, I wouldn't say
I'm not a
like
conspiracy
that.
theorist, but
I just want to be careful not to throw the judge under the bus here. I disagree with the judge, obviously. I just don't. It really, I think what it came down to was the request could be interpreted either way. And when in doubt, they got sided with the DA's office. And it's unfortunate. And it's really frustrating because everyday people don't know how to write a word perfect legal document to do a request to get information. And when those words can, if you ever read the Texas Public Information Act, which is the Texas version of the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, one of the first clauses is this chapter is to be construed liberally in favor of granting a request for information. Or maybe I might be misquoted, but in effect says that. And it's just frustrating when people are requesting records and government bodies can come back and say, we can't give you that, or they give you a $5,000-$6,000 invoice for something that should be electronic and not that hard to get. Or I don't know, man. I feel like the pattern of some of these government bodies, how they'll move heaven and earth to withhold information. But what about like actually prosecuting crime and stuff? Like, why aren't they moving heaven and earth to do that? And I'm not saying throw people in jail for having a little bit of weed on them. I'm just saying, like, find that balance, stick to it.
Right. That's all I want, because people make a lot of assumptions about me on social media because I talk about crime a lot. So people want to peg me in certain political holes, and uh like, y'all have no idea, what kind of person I am and what I support and what I don't support. And honestly, none of that matters, uh because I think that I can feel however I feel about all these other things, but still want to feel safe, because my main concern is feeling safe in my own home. And I want that for everybody. I know what it's like to, you know, c- go to work one day and then you come home and your house is a crime scene. I know what that's like, and I know what it's like not to feel safe in your own home. I know what it's like to not have crime investigated properly. I know what it's like for the district attorney's office to royally mess up an investigation and not get justice when it comes to the most horrendous crime. To me, homicide is the end all be all crime that there shouldn't be any mistakes on. I've been through all that, and it's just, if there's anything that we can do to make such a horrific experience a easier experience for victims, then why aren't we doing that? Why are we making everything so difficult? Like, you mentioned that you had your car stolen. I didn't have my car stolen, but I had my neighbor hit my car, and like, they did like $3,000 worth of damage. They damaged the entire driver's side of my vehicle. And I called the cops, and we had assigned parking, and I had a witness and all that stuff, matching damage. I couldn't even get the cops to go knock on their door, and I knew where they lived. It's like, I just want the world to be fair. It's not fair that somebody hit my car, because we can go from both sides, to the minor to the most extreme thing. Both of those things that have happened to me were not my fault, and I deserved for the system to do the right thing for me as a victim. And everybody that has something happen and everything in between deserves that, but that's not happening. And
Yeah.
there's
I mean, the
there's
world
no
isn't always going to be fair, but at least our justice system will attempt to be fair, right?
right. And it hasn't been attempting to be fair, because I feel like anytime I've ever needed the system as a victim, it's never done what it's supposed to do. And there's nothing out there that is protecting victims' rights, but there's all these other things out there that are trying to protect criminals' rights, like
Offender rights,
the
yeah.
Bail Project, TOP, and all that. And that's why we formed Texas Crime Victims United in March. So there is something to protect crime victims' rights, because nobody is looking out for that.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, if you need to, what do you call it? If you need to go to work and your car gets broken into, and like, it won't keep you from going to work, but it'll keep you from passing an inspection. You
Mhm.
get pulled over, get a ticket. I mean, the cycle can perpetuate itself
Yeah.
for victims
Or
as well.
what if I what if I that makes me miss work that day, or I'm late that day, and then I get fired from my job because, they're very strict on time and attendance. It's like there's no thought of the impact of the victims, because, it sucks getting your car broken into and stolen. That's a violation. It's an even larger violation when it happens to your home. And then when something happens to you as a person, that's an even bigger violation. And it's like they're not taking into account, they care so much about the mental health of criminals and the homeless, but what about the mental impact of the citizens and the victims, and what it's happening to? Because it's like, his car getting stolen and him having to take the bus, that affects his life every day from this point on. And did they find your car?
It was a moped. It was a
Okay.
Honda Ruckus. But yeah, so they found it the next day, and it's funny because the APD officers, like when they showed up, and funny enough, it took them like 45 minutes to show up, which I later found out part of the reason why is because that was the night that a bunch of InfoWars reporters, as well as Joe Rogan and others, were getting swatted just back to back that night. That was like the kickoff back in March. But anyway, one of the cops asked the other cop, he was like, "Did you check all the hotels in the area?" And that's where they ended up finding it, was at one of the hotels that, to my understanding, the homelessness industrial complex, all these NGOs, when COVID hit, and when that was still going on, it's like, oh, $200 a night at this hotel. Well, what if we give you $600 a night through taxpayer money to house these homeless guys and turn the place into a drug den? And the hotel obviously doesn't care because, they get triple the dollar value, and the place is just full of crack and meth and whatever, and they're just stealing and robbing, burglarizing the community. I mean, I don't know what the burglaries are like in that particular area, but I know like Austin Justice has done some posts. A lot of people have posts like, look at all the crime, look at these specific crimes. But yeah, so I got my Ruckus back, heavily damaged, and me and my brother were able to, over the course of several weeks, finally repair it enough to where it was up and running again. But that took a lot of time and a lot of money that we had to consider, is it even worth it?
Right.
The thing only costs like $1,600.
Right.
But
And there's no recourse. Did they find the person that did it?
they found him, and
Uh-huh.
they had 8 officers out there ready to arrest him, and they had probable cause and everything. They said the detective was ready to sign the arrest warrant. Do you want to press charges? I said yes. And I guess the way it works in Austin, they have to confirm with a magistrate judge, and some magistrate judge just sits there and says, well, no, there's not enough probable cause. You're not authorized to make this arrest. And then a lot of people will bash the cops and be like, oh, that's the cops' fault. And sometimes cops are in the wrong too.
Right.
Sometimes they're in the right, sometimes they're in the wrong. But in that particular case, I feel like APD was trying to help, to the best of their ability. And some judge the judge isn't out on the streets having to deal with these people. The judge isn't having to go arrest these people and put their lives on the line,
Right.
possibly get shot or stabbed or whatever by these people. That's, the cops are having to do that. But the cops don't always get to decide, can I arrest? Of course, they have their discretion, Sometimes they can choose, okay, maybe I can arrest this person, or if for whatever reason I don't. But a lot of times it's the judges, it's the magistrates, and they say, oh, no, just like the person with the hatchet, oh, well, that's not specific enough. And imagine how many instances of stuff like that translates to lower crime rates, including lower violent crime rates, lower property crime rates, and then next thing you know, oh, Austin is the safest city, or one of the safest cities.
Yeah.
Garza just went on TV like a week or two ago. Austin's one of the safest cities in America. It's like, okay, well, why don't you go ride the bus then? Why don't you go, go to 7-Eleven at like 10 o'clock at night?
If you're in Westlake Hills, that's probably one of the safest cities in America, which is our richer part of town. But if you go to any other place where everyday people go, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, it's going to be safe statistically if you're not filing the charges. It's going to look a hell of a lot safer on paper than it actually is if you're not filing the charges. Like there's
Yeah, and then he does the ultimate form of gaslighting. It's ridiculous.
And it's I mean, there has to be something that something that has to be done, something that can be done, something, I don't know.
Drop charges are generally, not always, but generally exempt from public information requests. So if you wanted to request the offense report on something where, hey, this person burglarized this neighborhood, blah, 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 if they drop the charges, not, there may be exceptions, but generally, that's exempt from disclosure.
Interesting. So potentially somebody could be arrested 7 times for something, have those charges dropped, and then be arrested again, and then when they're deciding what they're going to do with them, they look at the history and they don't see anything. That could be something that could potentially happen.
Well, it depends on what system you're looking at and how you can get information on the basic information of the arrest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like the actual offense report that goes into detail as to what happened,
Got it.
would give you an idea of, was there actually probable cause? You'll see it maybe on the affidavit, but the offense report, especially for more complex crimes, these more serious crimes, the offense report tells mostly the full story. And if it just gets dropped, I mean, you might be able to see the affidavit, you might be able to see the booking information, but anything beyond that, good luck getting it.
Because there's so many, there's even a Facebook group of families that have been impacted by Garza and his decisions. There's so many people that have been impacted by this administration in Travis County. And it's just I'm so mad about it. And it's there has to be something. So I'm gonna talk to some people and see if there's anything that we can do keep raising awareness and educating people. If that's all we can do, at least that's something.
I feel like that. Yeah, I think Garza's biggest weakness is public awareness. If the public becomes more aware of what's actually going on in the criminal justice system and how these cases are falling through the cracks, I feel like that more than anything will change people's perspective. When it becomes unpopular to be associated with Jose Garza, I think we will see people jumping ship. If it's like, oh, the guy who lets out all these murder cases and this and that, and he could be a liability to people to be associated with him if he becomes, in the public sphere. But that's part of his game. His game is
right.
Trying to not release information and, message to the community, this is the safest community in the country.
Right. And so Michelle texted me something just talking about the magistrate taking the charges. So the district attorney office has an intake department. So it could have been that maybe even when they were talking to the police about accepting the charge, the district attorney's office might not have wanted to accept that charge. It might not have been. It could have Jose Garza's office literally could have screwed you with your stolen vehicle and been like, nope, we're not. So that's.
I did not realize that, but that's not a surprise at all.
Yeah, I could show you records where there was a period of time. I don't know if this is still occurring. There was a period of time when there were emails going back and forth about destroying affidavits after a rejected charge before it even gets to magistration.
Is that legal?
I don't know. And and there was an email sent back like, hey guys, from APD. They're like, hey guys, that's unacceptable.
Aren't there some court documents somewhere from 2021? I think where the guy shot the BLM protester, that state, was there a detective who went on record saying Garza engaged in felonious activity?
Well, he said that so this is kind of related to my litigation that failed, at least at the trial level. And basically, it said there's a he was the lead detective in the Daniel Perry case, and he said that Garza tampered with him as a witness. Basically, they were going to grand jury and to present an indictment, and in this grand jury indictment, before they got to the grand jury, they had like pre-grand jury or not hearings, but communications. And part of these communications was, hey, we want to look at the slide you're going to present to the grand jury to get an indictment on Daniel Perry. And they said, oh, once they got the slides, they're like, yeah, we need you to take some stuff out. And it's basically, it went from like 150 something slide to like 50 something slides. And according to the detective, almost all of those slides were exculpatory information showing innocence. That's how they got the grand jury indictment. And, well, we can talk, the trial's a whole other rabbit hole, but yeah, so I mean, there's that going on, and it's kind of related to the case that you showed at the beginning of this program, where it's like the DA's office didn't turn over some stuff, and because they didn't turn it over, well, I guess they can't go after the guy now.
Yeah, and it's just like it pisses me off so much that there's like no recourse when it comes to like mistakes like that, because that is such a, and maybe that's my problem, because in my own experience in our, when my fiance was murdered, there was such huge missteps in the district attorney's office and the investigation, and like there's no recourse for that.
I mean, sometimes the other side can call for sanctions.
Yeah,
But it doesn't. It can have teeth, maybe, but it's up to the judge. And from what I hear, the legal community in Travis County and any county for that matter.
Yeah, in most areas, it's tough finding anybody that wants to go after, because people will be like, oh, you should have sued the police department. Good luck finding a fucking attorney that's going to sue the local police department. And then somebody was like, oh, you should have asked for a different jurisdiction. Do you know how the legal system works? I can't just be like, I don't like this jurisdiction, let's go to a different county. That's not how that works.
Yeah, especially in Travis County, like trying to get a change of venue is like near impossible. So.
And then somebody commented on when I was talking about this, they're like, oh, sue who? Sue what? That's not how that works. You can't, everybody's like, sue. Okay, even if
I know who commented that. That's actually a friend of mine, and I was like laughing when he said that, because
you have to have a ground.
Yeah, that's what we all want to do.
Have a reason. You have to have specifics.
Everybody, like when it comes to like my, personal situation and like all this other stuff, that's everybody's answer. Sue. Even if it is something that we're able to do, most attorneys do not want to piss off the local police department, the judges, the district attorney's office, because they have to work with them and they have to deal with it. And that stuff shouldn't carry over, but we know that that's just not how things work. If you piss off a judge and then you're in front of that judge,
that's not going to help your case in
right.
Your next couple of cases, right?
Exactly. So it's not that easy. So I am definitely going to keep making sure that this information is out there and keep educating the public. Maybe there's something that we can work on together. Maybe do something, a little more formal, come up with some questions, some other stuff. I don't know. Maybe there's some stuff that we can do together to keep informing the public, because both of you all are working really hard in Travis County. And I know that I know that people appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what you guys are doing. As speaking as a victim advocate and as a victim myself, I definitely appreciate you guys, because it's not it's not easy to take on these big entities, and
No, definitely isn't.
then you kind of get known and not necessarily liked in your
Yeah.
county, because Harris County, they know who I am in Harris County. I don't know. I know some people like me. I know some people don't. So
Hats off to Austin Justice. He does it anonymously, or he or she, and he's whooping ass. He's doing really
Yeah.
good. Credit
yes,
to Austin Justice on X. I mean, that dude does a good job, and I'm happy someone else. All the merrier. This is not a
yes,
competition to me. I want people to know what is going on in the criminal justice system.
yes. I fully agree. So I'm happy to join forces, even though I am not a Travis County citizen. I care about all victims in the state of Texas, and Garza has really pissed me off, and I don't even live there.
Yeah, but I think it's because he says stuff on camera that if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, yeah, this guy's great. But when you know what is actually going on,
Yes.
you're like, oh my God, this guy is a pathological liar.
Yes, and I see that over and over with politics, and
He's a good politician in that.
yes, he's a great politician, and that's not what is needed with
That's
a
such a great
district
district
attorney.
attorney.
Yes, that's not what is needed in a district attorney's office. But I very much appreciate you gentlemen joining me tonight. I have kept you guys for almost 2 hours, and I appreciate you guys sitting here and talking about Garza. I'll be, in the DMs talking with you all. We'll plan something else out, and we'll do some more structured stuff. But, Garza Garza doesn't know me yet, but he's gonna know who I am soon.
Yeah, I've been really down in the dumps since my loss in the lawsuit. So I'm sorry if I wasn't as animated.
Oh, no,
It just sucks losing against Garza.
No, it sucks. but I mean, you did something. You've gone further than a lot of people have. You've done, and you're helping educate people on the process and kind of exposing how things are. It does suck, but it's not. You lost the little battle. We still have a war, so it's just
That's very true.
a little loss. So we still have much more fight left, but yeah,
We're gonna win the war.
yes, we're
It's
gonna
all
win
gonna
the war.
turn out good anyway.
Hopefully, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Well, again, I appreciate you guys here. I'm gonna end it here.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
us.
Second. Yes. And I'm losing my voice. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, I appreciate you guys being here, and I appreciate everybody that's joined us. We've had a pretty consistent viewership on both platforms for the entire time, which is pretty good for something so long. So thank you for everybody who watched us. Appreciate y'all, and I will see you again next time. Bye, y'all.